The Buddha's life, the awakening and after the awakening. 1. The awakening. He finds the middle way. There are these two extremes that are not to be indulged in by one who has gone forth. Which two? That which is devoted to sensual pleasure with reference to sensual objects, base, vulgar, common, ignoble, unprofitable, and that which is devoted to self-affliction, painful, ignoble, unprofitable. Avoiding both of these extremes, the middle way realized by the Tathagata, producing vision, producing knowledge, leads to calm, to direct knowledge, to self-awakening, to unbinding. And what is the middle way realized by the Tathagata that, producing vision, producing knowledge, leads to calm, to direct knowledge, to self-awakening, to unbinding? Precisely this noble eightfold path: right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. This is the middle way realized by the Tathagata that, producing vision, producing knowledge, leads to calm, to direct knowledge, to self-awakening, to unbinding. Samyutta Nikaya, SN 56.11, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. He penetrates the three knowledges. When the mind was thus concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, rid of defilement, pliant, malleable, steady, and attained to imperturbability, I directed it to the knowledge of recollecting my past lives. I recollected my manifold past lives, that is, 1 birth, 2, 5, 10, 50, 100, 1,000, 100,000, many eons of cosmic contraction, many eons of cosmic expansion, many eons of cosmic contraction and expansion. There I had such a name, belonged to such a clan, had such an appearance. Such was my food, such my experience of pleasure and pain, such the end of my life. Passing away from that state, I re-arose there. There too I had such a name, belonged to such a clan, had such an appearance. Such was my food, such my experience of pleasure and pain, such the end of my life. Passing away from that state, I re-arose here. Thus I remembered my manifold past lives in their modes and details. This was the first knowledge I attained in the first watch of the night. Ignorance was destroyed. Knowledge arose. Darkness was destroyed. Light arose, as happens in one who is heedful, ardent, and resolute. But the pleasant feeling that arose in this way did not invade my mind or remain. When the mind was thus concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, rid of defilement, pliant, malleable, steady, and attained to imperturbability, I directed it to the knowledge of the passing away and reappearance of beings. I saw, by means of the divine eye, purified and surpassing the human, beings passing away and reappearing, and I discerned how they are inferior and superior, beautiful and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate in accordance with their karma. These beings, who were endowed with bad conduct of body, speech, and mind, who reviled the noble ones, held wrong views, and undertook actions under the influence of wrong views, with the breakup of the body after death, have reappeared in the plane of deprivation, the bad destination, the lower realms, in hell. But these beings, who were endowed with good conduct of body, speech, and mind, who did not revile the noble ones, who held right views and undertook actions under the influence of right views, with the breakup of the body after death, have reappeared in the good destinations, in the heavenly world. Thus, by means of the divine eye, purified and surpassing the human, I saw beings passing away and reappearing, and I discerned how they are inferior and superior, beautiful and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate in accordance with their karma. This was the second knowledge I attained in the second watch of the night. Ignorance was destroyed. Knowledge arose. Darkness was destroyed. Light arose, as happens in one who is heedful, ardent, and resolute. But the pleasant feeling that arose in this way did not invade my mind or remain. When the mind was thus concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, rid of defilement, pliant, malleable, steady, and attained to imperturbability, I directed it to the knowledge of the ending of the mental fermentations. I discerned, as it had come to be, that this is stress. This is the origination of stress. This is the cessation of stress. This is the way leading to the cessation of stress. These are fermentations. This is the origination of fermentations. This is the cessation of fermentations. This is the way leading to the cessation of fermentations. My heart, thus knowing, thus seeing, was released from the fermentation of sensuality, released from the fermentation of becoming, released from the fermentation of ignorance. With release, there was the knowledge released. I discerned that birth is ended, the holy life fulfilled, the task done. There is nothing further for this world. This was the third knowledge I attained in the third watch of the night. Ignorance was destroyed. Knowledge arose. Darkness was destroyed. Light arose, as happens in one who is heedful, ardent, and resolute. But the pleasant feeling that arose in this way did not invade my mind or remain. Majjhima Nikaya, Memen, 36. Maha Sakaka Sutta, the longer discourse to Sakaka, Supreme Awakening. Through the round of many births I roamed. Without reward or without rest, seeking the house builder. Painful is birth, again and again. House builder, you're seen. You will not build a house again. All your rafters broken, the ridgepole destroyed, gone to the unformed, the mind, has come to the end of craving. Dhammapada 153, 4. He becomes the Tathagata. The world has been fully awakened to by the Tathagata. From the world, the Tathagata is disjoined. The origination of the world has been fully awakened to by the Tathagata. The origination of the world has, by the Tathagata, been abandoned. The cessation of the world has been fully awakened to by the Tathagata. The cessation of the world has, by the Tathagata, been realized. The path leading to the cessation of the world has been fully awakened to by the Tathagata. The path leading to the cessation of the world has, by the Tathagata, been developed. Whatever in this world, with its devas, maras, and brahmas, its generations complete with contemplatives and brahmins, princes and men, is seen, heard, sensed, cognized, attained, sought after, pondered by the intellect that has been fully awakened to by the Tathagata. Thus, he is called the Tathagata. From the night the Tathagata fully awakens to the unsurpassed right self-awakening, to the night he is totally unbound in the unbinding property with no fuel remaining, whatever the Tathagata has said, spoken, explained is just so, tatha, and not otherwise. Thus he is called the Tathagata. The Tathagata is one who does in line with tatha what he teaches, one who teaches in line with what he does. Thus he is called the Tathagata. In this world with its devas, maras, and brahmas, its generations complete with contemplatives and brahmins, princes and men, the Tathagata is the unconquered conqueror, all-seeing, the wielder of power. Thus he is called the Tathagata. Itivuttaka 112. 2. After the awakening. The Buddha investigates the laws of cause and effect. I have heard that on one occasion, when the Blessed One was newly awakened, staying at Uruvela by the banks of the Naranjara River in the shade of the Bodhi tree, the tree of awakening, he sat in the shade of the Bodhi tree for 7 days in one session, sensitive to the bliss of release. At the end of 7 days, after emerging from that concentration, in the third watch of the night, he gave close attention to dependent co-arising in forward and reverse order thus: when this is, that is. From the arising of this comes the arising of that. When this isn't, that isn't. From the cessation of this comes the cessation of that. In other words, from ignorance as a requisite condition come fabrications. From fabrications as a requisite condition comes consciousness. From consciousness as a requisite condition comes name and form. From name and form as a requisite condition come the 6 sense media. From the 6 sense media as a requisite condition comes contact. From contact as a requisite condition comes feeling. From feeling as a requisite condition comes craving. From craving as a requisite condition comes clinging sustenance. From clinging sustenance as a requisite condition comes becoming. From becoming as a requisite condition comes birth. From birth as a requisite condition, then old age and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair come into play. Such is the origination of this entire mass of stress and suffering. Now from the remainderless fading and cessation of that very ignorance comes the cessation of fabrications. From the cessation of fabrications comes the cessation of consciousness. From the cessation of consciousness comes the cessation of name and form. From the cessation of name and form comes the cessation of the 6 sense media. From the cessation of the 6 sense media comes the cessation of contact. From the cessation of contact comes the cessation of feeling. From the cessation of feeling comes the cessation of craving. From the cessation of craving comes the cessation of clinging sustenance. From the cessation of clinging sustenance comes the cessation of becoming. From the cessation of becoming comes the cessation of birth. From the cessation of birth, then old age and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair all cease. Such is the cessation of this entire mass of stress and suffering. Then, on realizing the significance of that, the Blessed One on that occasion exclaimed, as phenomena grow clear, to the Brahman, ardent, absorbed, he stands, routing the troops of Mara like the sun that illumines the sky. Udana Ud, 1.3, Bodhi Sutta, Awakening. He wonders, whom should I revere as my teacher? I have heard that on one occasion when the Blessed One was newly self-awakened, he was staying at Uruvela on the bank of the Naranjara River, at the foot of the goat herd's banyan tree. Then, while he was alone and in seclusion, this line of thinking arose in his awareness. One suffers if dwelling without reverence or deference. Now, on what Brahman or contemplative can I dwell in dependence, honoring and respecting him? Then the thought occurred to him. It would be for the sake of perfecting an unperfected aggregate of virtue that I would dwell in dependence on another Brahman or contemplative, honoring and respecting him. However, in this world with its divas, mares, and brahmas, in this generation with its Brahmins and contemplatives, its royalty and common folk, I do not see another Brahmin or contemplative more consummate in virtue than I, on whom I could dwell in dependence, honoring and respecting him. It would be for the sake of perfecting an unperfected aggregate of concentration. It would be for the sake of perfecting an unperfected aggregate of discernment. It would be for the sake of perfecting an unperfected aggregate of release. It would be for the sake of perfecting an unperfected aggregate of knowledge and vision of release that I would dwell in dependence on another Brahman or contemplative, honoring and respecting him. However, in this world with its divas, maras and brahmas, in this generation with its Brahmans and contemplatives, its royalty and common folk, I do not see another Brahman or contemplative more consummate in knowledge and vision of release than I, on whom I could dwell in dependence, honoring and respecting him. What if I were to dwell in dependence on this very Dhamma to which I have fully awakened, honoring and respecting it? Then, having known with his own awareness the line of thinking in the Blessed One's awareness, just as a strong man might extend his flexed arm or flex his extended arm, Brahma Sahampati disappeared from the Brahma world and reappeared in front of the Blessed One. Arranging his upper robe over one shoulder, he saluted the Blessed One with his hands before his heart and said to him, "So it is, Blessed One, so it is, one well gone. Those who were arahants, rightly self-awakened ones in the past, they too dwelled in dependence on the very Dhamma itself, honoring and respecting it. Those who will be arahants, rightly self-awakened ones in the future, they too will dwell in dependence on the very Dhamma itself, honoring and respecting it. And let the Blessed One, who is at present the arahant, the rightly self-awakened one, dwell in dependence on the very Dhamma itself, honoring and respecting it." Samyutta Nikaya, SN 6.2, Gaurava Sutta, Reverence. He wonders, should I teach this Dhamma to others? I have heard that on one occasion when the Blessed One was newly self-awakened, he was staying at Uruvela on the bank of the Naranjara River at the foot of the goat herd's banyan tree. Then, while he was alone and in seclusion, this line of thinking arose in his awareness. This Dhamma that I have attained is deep, hard to see, hard to realize, peaceful, refined beyond the scope of conjecture, subtle to be experienced by the wise. But this generation delights in attachment, is excited by attachment, enjoys attachment. For a generation delighting in attachment, excited by attachment, enjoying attachment, that conditionality and dependent co-arising are hard to see. This state, too, is hard to see. The resolution of all fabrications, the relinquishment of all acquisitions, the ending of craving, dispassion, cessation, unbinding. And if I were to teach the Dhamma, and if others would not understand me, that would be tiresome for me, troublesome for me. Just then these verses, unspoken in the past, unheard before, occurred to the Blessed One. Enough now with teaching. What only with difficulty? I reached. This Dhamma is not easily realized by those overcome with aversion and passion. What is abstruse, subtle, deep, hard to see, going against the flow, those delighting in passion, cloaked in the mass of darkness, won't see. As the Blessed One reflected thus, his mind inclined to dwelling at ease, not to teaching the Dhamma. Then Brahma Sahampati, having known with his own awareness the line of thinking in the Blessed One's awareness, thought, "The world is lost, the world is destroyed. The mind of the Tathagata, the Arahant, the rightly self-awakened one inclines to dwelling at ease, not to teaching the Dhamma." Then, just as a strong man might extend his flexed arm or flex his extended arm, Brahma Sahampati disappeared from the Brahma world and reappeared in front of the Blessed One. Arranging his upper robe over one shoulder, he knelt down with his right knee on the ground, saluted the Blessed One with his hands before his heart, and said to him, "Lord, let the Blessed One teach the Dhamma. Let the one well gone teach the Dhamma. There are beings with little dust in their eyes who are falling away because they do not hear the Dhamma. There will be those who will understand the Dhamma. Then the Blessed One, having understood Brahma's invitation, out of compassion for beings, surveyed the world with the eye of an awakened one. As he did so, he saw beings with little dust in their eyes, and those with much, those with keen faculties, and those with dull, those with good attributes and those with bad, those easy to teach and those hard, some of them seeing disgrace and danger in the other world. Just as in a pond of blue or red or white lotuses, some lotuses, born and growing in the water, might flourish while immersed in the water without rising up from the water. Some might stand at an even level with the water, while some might rise up from the water and stand without being smeared by the water. So too, surveying the world with the eye of an awakened one, the Blessed One saw beings with little dust in their eyes and those with much, those with keen faculties and those with dull, those with good attributes and those with bad, those easy to teach and those hard, some of them seeing disgrace and danger in the other world. Then Brahma Sahampati, thinking, the Blessed One has given his consent to teach the Dhamma, bowed down to the Blessed One, and circling him on the right, disappeared right there. Samyutta Nikaya, SN 6.1, Ayakana Sutta, The Request. He wonders, to whom should I teach this Dhamma first? Then the thought occurred to me, to whom should I teach the Dhamma first? Who will quickly understand this Dhamma? Then the thought occurred to me, this Alara Kalama is wise, competent, intelligent. He has long had little dust in his eyes. What if I were to teach him the Dhamma first? He will quickly understand this Dhamma. Then Devas came to me and said, Lord, Alara Kalama died 7 days ago, and knowledge and vision arose within me. Alara Kalama died 7 days ago. The thought occurred to me, a great loss has Alara Kalama suffered. If he had heard this Dhamma, he would have quickly understood it. Then the thought occurred to me, to whom should I teach the Dhamma first? Who will quickly understand this Dhamma? Then the thought occurred to me, this Uddaka Ramaputta is wise, competent, intelligent. He has long had little dust in his eyes. What if I were to teach him the Dhamma first? He will quickly understand this Dhamma. Then Devas came to me and said, Lord, Uddaka Ramaputta died last night, and knowledge and vision arose within me. Uddaka Ramaputta died last night. The thought occurred to me, a great loss has Uddaka Ramaputta suffered. If he had heard this Dhamma, he would have quickly understood it. Then the thought occurred to me, to whom should I teach the Dhamma first? Who will quickly understand this Dhamma? Then the thought occurred to me, they were very helpful to me, the group of 5 monks who attended to me when I was resolute in exertion. What if I were to teach them the Dhamma first? Then the thought occurred to me, where are the group of 5 monks staying now? And with the divine eye, purified and surpassing the human, I saw that they were staying near Varanasi in the deer park at Isipatana. Then, having stayed at Uruvela as long as I liked, I set out to wander by stages to Varanasi. Upaka the Ajivaka saw me on the road between Gaya and the place of awakening, and on seeing me said to me, clear, my friend, are your faculties, pure your complexion, and bright. On whose account have you gone forth? Who is your teacher? In whose Dhamma do you delight? When this was said, I replied to Upaka the Ajivaka in verses, all vanquishing, all-knowing am I with regard to all things, unadhering. All abandoning, released in the ending of craving, having fully known on my own, to whom should I point as my teacher? I have no teacher, and one like me can't be found. In the world with its devas, I have no counterpart, for I am an arahant in the world. I, the unexcelled teacher, I alone am rightly self-awakened. cooled am I, unbound, to set rolling the wheel of Dhamma. I go to the city of Kasi. In a world become blind, I beat the drum of the deathless. From your claims, my friend, you must be an infinite conqueror. Conquerors are those like me who have reached fermentation's end. I've conquered evil qualities, and so, Upaka, I'm a conqueror. When this was said, Upaka said, "May it be so, my friend," and, shaking his head, taking a side road, he left. Then, wandering by stages, I arrived at Varanasi, at the deer park in Isipatana, to where the group of 5 monks were staying. From afar they saw me coming and, on seeing me, made a pact with one another, saying, "Friends, here comes Gautama the contemplative, living luxuriously, straying from his exertion, backsliding into abundance. He doesn't deserve to be bowed down to be greeted by standing up, or to have his robe and bowl received. Still, a seat should be set out. If he wants to, he can sit down." But as I approached, they were unable to keep to their pact. One, standing up to greet me, received my robe and bowl. Another spread out a seat. Another set out water for washing my feet. However, they addressed me by name and as friend. So I said to them, "Don't address the Tathagata by name and as friend. The Tathagata, friends, is a worthy one, rightly self-awakened. Lend ear, friends. The deathless has been attained. I will instruct you. I will teach you the Dhamma. Practicing as instructed, you will in no long time reach and remain in the supreme goal of the holy life for which clansmen rightly go forth from home into homelessness, knowing and realizing it for yourselves in the here and now." When this was said, the group of 5 monks replied to me, "By that practice, that conduct, that performance of austerities, you did not attain any superior human states, any distinction in knowledge and vision worthy of a noble one. So how can you now, living luxuriously, straying from your exertion, backsliding into abundance, have attained any superior human states, any distinction in knowledge and vision worthy of a noble one?" When this was said, I replied to them, "The Tathagata, monks, is not living luxuriously, has not strayed from his exertion, has not backslid into abundance. The Tathagata, friends, is a worthy one, rightly self-awakened. Lend ear, friends. The deathless has been attained. I will instruct you. I will teach you the Dhamma. Practicing as instructed, you will in no long time reach and remain in the supreme goal of the holy life for which clansmen rightly go forth from home into homelessness, knowing and realizing it for yourselves in the here and now." A second time. A third time the group of 5 monks said to me, "By that practice, that conduct, that performance of austerities, you did not attain any superior human states, any distinction in knowledge and vision worthy of a noble one. So how can you now, living luxuriously, straying from your exertion, backsliding into abundance, have attained any superior human states, any distinction in knowledge and vision worthy of a noble one?" When this was said, I replied to the group of 5 monks, "Do you recall my ever having spoken in this way before? No, Lord. The Tathagata, monks, is not living luxuriously, has not strayed from his exertion, has not backslid into abundance. The Tathagata, friends, is a worthy one, rightly self-awakened. Lend ear, friends. The deathless has been attained. I will instruct you. I will teach you the Dhamma. Practicing as instructed, you will in no long time reach and remain in the supreme goal of the holy life for which clansmen rightly go forth from home into homelessness, knowing and realizing it for yourselves in the here and now." And so I was able to convince them. MN 26. Three. Setting the wheel of Dhamma in motion, the Buddha's first sermon to the group of 5 ascetics. I have heard that on one occasion the Blessed One was staying at Varanasi in the game refuge at Isipatana. There he addressed the group of 5 monks. There are these 2 extremes that are not to be indulged in by one who has gone forth. Which 2? That which is devoted to sensual pleasure with reference to sensual objects, base, vulgar, common, ignoble, unprofitable, and that which is devoted to self-affliction, painful, ignoble, unprofitable. Avoiding both of these extremes, the middle way realized by the Tathagata, producing vision, producing knowledge, leads to calm, to direct knowledge, to self-awakening, to unbinding, the Noble Eightfold Path. And what is the middle way realized by the Tathagata that producing vision, producing knowledge, leads to calm, to direct knowledge, to self-awakening, to unbinding? Precisely this Noble Eightfold Path: right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. This is the middle way realized by the Tathagata that producing vision, producing knowledge, leads to calm, to direct knowledge, to self-awakening, to unbinding. The 4 Noble Truths. Now this, monks, is the noble truth of stress. Birth is stressful, aging is stressful, death is stressful, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress and despair are stressful. Association with the unbeloved is stressful. Separation from the loved is stressful. Not getting what is wanted is stressful. In short, the 5 clinging aggregates are stressful. And this, monks, is the noble truth of the origination of stress, the craving that makes for further becoming, accompanied by passion and delight, relishing now here and now there, that is, craving for sensual pleasure, craving for becoming, craving for non-becoming. And this, monks, is the noble truth of the cessation of stress, the remainderless fading and cessation, renunciation, relinquishment, release, and letting go of that very craving. And this, monks, is the noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress. Precisely this Noble Eightfold Path: right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. One's duties with regard to the 4 Noble Truths. Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This is the noble truth of stress. This noble truth of stress is to be comprehended. This noble truth of stress has been comprehended. Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This is the noble truth of the origination of stress. This noble truth of the origination of stress is to be abandoned. This noble truth of the origination of stress has been abandoned. Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This is the noble truth of the cessation of stress. This noble truth of the cessation of stress is to be directly experienced. This noble truth of the cessation of stress has been directly experienced. Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This is the noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress. This noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress is to be developed. This noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress has been developed. The 12-spoked wheel of Dhamma. And monks, as long as this knowledge and vision of mine, with its 3 rounds and 12 permutations concerning these 4 noble truths as they actually are present, was not pure, I did not claim to have directly awakened to the right self-awakening unexcelled in the cosmos with its divas, maras, and brahmas, with its contemplatives and brahmins, its royalty and common folk. But as soon as this knowledge and vision of mine, with its 3 rounds and 12 permutations concerning these 4 noble truths as they actually are present, was truly pure, then I did claim to have directly awakened to the right self-awakening unexcelled in the cosmos with its divas, maras, and brahmas, with its contemplatives and brahmins, its royalty and common folk. Knowledge and vision arose in me. Unprovoked is my release. This is the last birth. There is now no further becoming. The noble Sangha is born. That is what the Blessed One said. Gratified, the group of 5 monks delighted at his words, and while this explanation was being given, there arose to Ven, Kondanya the dustless, stainless Dhamma I. Whatever is subject to origination is all subject to cessation. The wheel of the Dhamma begins to turn. And when the Blessed One had set the wheel of Dhamma in motion, the earth divas cried out, "At Varanasi, in the game refuge at Isipatana, the Blessed One has set in motion the unexcelled wheel of Dhamma that cannot be stopped by Brahman or contemplative Diva, Mara, or God, or anyone in the cosmos." On hearing the earth divas cry, the divas of the 4 kings heaven took up the cry. The divas of the 33, the Yama Devas, the Tusita Devas, the Nimanaradi Devas, the Paranimita Vasavadi Devas. The Devas of Brahma's retinue took up the cry. At Varanasi, in the game refuge at Isipatana, the Blessed One has set in motion the unexcelled wheel of Dhamma that cannot be stopped by Brahman or contemplative, Divas, Mara, or God, or anyone at all in the cosmos. So in that moment, that instant, the cry shot right up to the Brahma worlds, and this 10,000-fold cosmos shivered, quivered, and quaked, while a great, measureless radiance appeared in the cosmos, surpassing the effulgence of the divas. Then the Blessed One exclaimed, "So you really know, Kondanya, so you really know." And that is how Ven. Kondanya acquired the name Anya Kondanya, Kondanya who knows, SN 56.11. The second sermon, on the not-self characteristic. Now there are 6 arahants in the world. Thus, monks, any body whatsoever that is past, future or present, internal or external, blatant or subtle, common or sublime, far or near, every body is to be seen as it actually is with right discernment as, this is not mine, this is not myself, this is not what I am. Any feeling whatsoever, any perception whatsoever, any fabrications whatsoever, any consciousness whatsoever that is past, future, or present, internal or external, blatant or subtle, common or sublime, far or near, every consciousness is to be seen as it actually is with right discernment as, this is not mine, this is not myself, this is not what I am. Seeing thus, the well-instructed disciple of the noble ones grows disenchanted with the body, disenchanted with feeling, disenchanted with perception, disenchanted with fabrications, disenchanted with consciousness. Disenchanted, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, he is fully released. With full release, there is the knowledge, fully released. He discerns that birth is ended, the holy life fulfilled, the task done. There is nothing further for this world. That is what the Blessed One said. Gratified, the group of 5 monks delighted at his words, and while this explanation was being given, the hearts of the group of 5 monks, through not clinging, not being sustained, were fully released from fermentation, effluence. SN 22.59. What is the difference between an arahant and a Buddha? The Buddha. So what difference, what distinction, what distinguishing factor is there between one rightly self-awakened and a monk discernment released? A group of monks. For us, Lord, the teachings have the Blessed One as their root, their guide, and their arbitrator. It would be good if the Blessed One himself would explicate the meaning of this statement. Having heard it from the Blessed One, the monks will remember it. In that case, monks, listen and pay close attention. I will speak. As you say, Lord, the monks responded. The Blessed One said, the Tathagata, the worthy one, the rightly self-awakened one, is the one who gives rise to the path, previously unarisen, who engenders the path, previously unengendered, who points out the path, previously not pointed out. He knows the path, is expert in the path, is adept at the path, and his disciples now keep following the path and afterwards become endowed with the path. This is the difference. This, the distinction. This, the distinguishing factor between one rightly self-awakened and a monk discernment released. SN 22.58.